Yeah, thank you.
And I saw you down last year at the expo.
At the Women's Expo.
At the Women's Expo. And I saw your setup, and you had some cute dresses. And I got your card, and I thought, I want to meet this lady and see what she has. And because she had a variety of things at the expo, and they were very nice.
Yeah, that was the first Detroit Women's Expo. Many people are accustomed to the to another expo, but this was the first one in downtown Detroit. So it was really nice to be part of that.
Yeah. So I just want to let our audience know that you are a Detroiter.
Yes.
You went to Cass Tech.
Yep, Cass Tech and U of D.
U of D. And whatever you major in, it doesn't quite equate to the Black Dress Company at this point.
Yeah, most people, their careers have nothing to do with what they majored in.
My point.
But the good part is that you can use those transferable skills into the workplace.
It's necessary.
Yes.
To have that. So I just want to talk about your company, the Black Dress Company, and how you got started, and just all the things that you're doing here in downtown Detroit.
Okay. Well, first of all, we've been in business since 2008.
Okay.
And we, as in me and my mother, I've always wanted to have a business. So I've had an entrepreneurial spirit, which pretty much started in college. However, I didn't know what that business would be. So after college, I opened up a couple of businesses, and they were kind of like hobbies. Okay. You know, sometimes people have hobbies, and the question is whether you're going to turn that hobby into a business. So they were pretty much hobbies. And then I started taking things a little bit more serious. You know, what do I really want to do? And one day I said, well, you know, Mom, you know, you've been sewing since I've been born, so what about having your own boutique? So she entertained the thought, and I said, well, you know, get me now because, you know, I'm full of energy. I have some business experience. There's things that, you know, that I failed at. There's some things that worked out great. So while I have this knowledge and some free time, let's make it happen.
See what you can do with it.
Yeah, and what made it a little bit easier for me is having a computer background.
Absolutely.
And being able to use technology to research, to find out whatever information that you want to, you know, find out. You could use the internet for that. But I've been in that business for so long that it just made life a lot easier.
Because we are a computer age, whether we want to accept it or not.
Yeah, and then the computer business, you know, it made a lot of transitions over the years. So by the time I opened the business, there were some things that just weren't in place. For example, YouTube was not existing. Facebook was still for college students. So there were a lot of pieces or elements that people could find now that you couldn't find. But I knew how to dig around the World Wide Web at the time that we called it, and to get the information that we needed. So that helped. And then I got into real estate. So looking at Detroit landscape, where most people were moving out of the city, I knew that I was going to be here, and I knew that there was buzz about development. So most people weren't aware of that, but during my research, using the computer, using my knowledge of real estate, I was able to come into this small area here near the DMC and the VA hospital. And I wasn't looking for property initially. I was looking to move. Like many Detroiters during 2005 to 2008, people were losing their jobs. There's a lot of shifting going on, people moving out of the city. But there was a particular area where people were moving to. Okay. And that is now called Midtown. It didn't have the name Midtown, well, not to the public. But once I moved into the area, I began to acclimate myself and be part of the movement.
And you seem like you had a vision. You saw what it could be and what it is evolving in today. Because I hear on the radio or TV on the news about the mayor's going to do this, and there are businesses and people moving back to Detroit. So you're in a prime area here. Yeah,
and what I did was I kind of, through my own personal marketing, let people see that you can shop in Detroit, because that's not the conversation. If you're talking to your girlfriends, or you're talking to your friends, your relatives, and you say, hey, I'm going to go shopping. Well, the language isn't I'm going to go to Detroit to shop. I'm going to go downtown to shop. That's just not the conversation. So I was able to tell people, hey, come down to Midtown. They're like, what is that? So it's a particular area that's going under development. Come down here and shop with me. And whenever something new would come, popping up into town, new businesses, I would tell them about it. And so while they're down here, they can stop at my store, go visit someone else. And through my partnerships and relationships with other businesses, customers were able to come down here and shop. So
you've done a marvelous job. I love the coziness of your place here. It's just really nice. How did it come to be the Black Dress Company? I mean, nothing wrong with black dresses. One of my favorite colors.
No. Black is beautiful.
Black is beautiful.
Yes. My mother came up with that name, and there was no rhyme or reason. She just felt it. It came out of her mouth. Whatever spirit she felt at the time, that's the name she wanted to give it. And I did ask her. I said, look, from a marketing standpoint, what does that mean? Does that mean you're going to have a store full of black dresses? And she goes, no, it's just, it's how you feel when you're in a dress. The black dress symbolizes, elegance, classic, traditional. So it doesn't matter what you're wearing. If you feel that way, then you're feeling as if you're wearing a black dress. So I said, I can't communicate that to every person that comes in the door. So it's a name, but we still wanted you to have that feeling of classic, traditional, with some elements of trend.
Because when I saw you down at the Detroit Expo, the Women's Expo, I said, the black dress. And I looked at the card, and I looked around, and you did have a black dress.
Yeah, we gotta have one.
We gotta have one. And it really just, I wanted to know more about it. And I didn't get a chance to come down before, but I'm just so glad I came and interviewed you today, because the Black Dress Company is the spot to shop. I like that, the spot to shop.
The spot to shop.
Because you have a variety of eloquent pieces. and you can get whatever the customer wants.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that. When we first opened, because we were making our transition along with the city. So as the city is making changes, we have to make changes as well. And we started off with a more dressier look. Again, as people began to lose their job, as people began to shop differently, we're into a more casual type of environment. There are people that still dress up because there's special events that they attend, and we service that. But based on the area that we are in, we are an artsy community, we are a working community, and those two things combined allowed me to change up a little bit, to say, hey, it's all about comfort, it's about style, it's about being a little bit more artsy, especially in our fabric selections. Everything doesn't have to be stretch, but that's what everybody's wearing. We were anti-stretch when we first opened, so people were like, oh, it's not fitting me, this is what size I wear.
So people really wanted the tight look?
It wasn't that. Because my mother's a tailor. And because I grew up in an era where I was able to see fabrics, look at
her
wools,
sewing.
and through her sewing, through some of the stores that people are familiar with, like Ganto's, of course, Winkleman's Casual Corner, all those stores that disappeared. I was still familiar with those, and that didn't exist in the city anymore. So when I opened the store, I knew that the demographics, that I was targeting would appreciate a store that was kind of similar to exist again.
But you have a variety. I see some very dressy pieces that caught my eye, and then you have some very casual pieces.
Yeah, so you have to do a combination of both, because women are versatile.
They are.
Depending on where you're going.
And overall, there is a casualness to the dress across the country. I used to fly home because I moved here years ago, and I'd go home and I'd have a suit on, have my heels. And you wouldn't, you just would be out of place with that on today, on the airlines. And I'm just, it's an air of casualness. I don't know if that's always good, or what do you think? What do you think about this dressing down?
Well, that's a good question. I hadn't really entertained that thought in depth, but I'm going to attempt to do it now.
But it is. But haven't you noticed that?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I have noticed is that from a cultural perspective, there are certain cultures that have they wear different garbs, of course, we know that. In a city that's predominantly African American, in that particular culture, what we're looking at is how we want to present ourselves to the world. So there was a time in history where we had nothing. We weren't provided certain clothing. We just, our dignity was stripped away from us. So when it was time for us to dress ourselves and to show others that we had dignity, and to respect us, then we would dress like our masters. We would dress like the people that owned us. And they had the fancy garbs, the fancy clothing. So we wanted to dress that way too, but we would put our own spin on it, of course. So as the years progressed on, we would continue that style of dress. So we would go to church, we would worship, and we would wear our finest pieces. As you get acclimated into any culture, you begin to adapt to what they're doing. And we're still 10-12% of the population. So either you can keep your cultural, you can keep all the things that you do within your culture intact, or you can adapt to what the majority is doing. And some people are able to do both. I do both. I feel that I can go into one environment and put on my t-shirt and gym shoes. I can go into another environment and dress up.
We were talking earlier about the church, and you don't see the hats that much. The church that I go to, I'll put it that way. You don't see. I think I'd even be out of place when I looked at that beautiful hat you had over there. I'd be out of place because nobody really wears hats anymore.
Yeah, I saw that transition when we first opened. There were still women that wore the hats, and there are some that will still wear hats because that's what they're known for when they go to church.
That's
you know,
true.
it's for their hats.
Their hats.
Yeah, but you'll definitely be out of place. But nowadays, you know, people still wear hats, but they'll do maybe more of a couture, a culture-oriented type of style.
Something a little smaller.
Yeah. And there's other businesses around town who, you know, make hats. There's a couple of women that we know that make hats, and we refer people to them as well.
Well, I just want our audience to know that the Black Dress Company has dressed up some famous people.
Yes.
And this is Brenda Lawrence, who is now in Congress.
Yes, she is.
And tell us about the outfit that you dressed her in, and how did you decide to provide her with this, or probably made suggestions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I'm not a stylist, so I want people to know that, but I do find myself styling women. I'm not defined as a stylist.
Okay, so you can help me out if I need to.
Yeah, I ask questions. I look at what you have on, and then I ask questions. And then there are occasions where I try to change what you wear. Okay. But that has a lot to do with your lifestyle. For example, I have some customers, and in Brenda's case, I knew that she had a particular profession. And when you are in public office, you have a tendency to have more business attire. And so it was, you know, the question is, was the mission to keep her in that or to show a different side of her? In the next issue of Black Magazine, you'll find another person, and I'm not going to say right now, let it be a surprise, but there is another person that's going to be on the cover, and we are accustomed to seeing her as well. With a different type of attire, and we switched it up. So it's all about the story that you want to present. Again, how do you want to present yourself to the world?
Yeah, this is perfect for her. I mean, it's very classy.
Yeah, my mother made that coat. It is a coat dress. It is corduroy. It's black corduroy. Nobody wears corduroy anymore.
You would not know that.
Yeah, we end up selling it, but it's a black corduroy with a faux fur collar.
Okay.
And we decided to, the photographer helped us out in terms of deciding whether we want to button it up or open it up. If we opened it up, it would have given her a more casual look, but it would have been a lot of leopard, and we didn't want to put too much leopard on it.
It was perfect for that. And you've also done another one. This was during the holiday? Yeah, that was holiday, December 2014. And we wanted to show, we kind of work with stylists, stylists, photographers, and they kind of let us know what their vision is. And the beauty is that my mother can listen to what that vision is and create something from that. Wow, I need to meet your mother.
Yeah, so from that vision, they wanted something more couture. And we don't have a lot of couture clients. We have some, but not a lot. And so the mission with that was to kind of step it up a little bit for the magazine. Well, I've seen some of the pieces that your mother made. Oh my goodness, they're awesome. Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. And I see her, the mom and the daughter. Yes, mom and daughter have this wonderful business. Yeah. The Black Dress Company in downtown Detroit. I am just so pleased to know that you're here and that you're doing well and you're doing so many things. Thank you. So what is in the future for the Black Dress Company? Good question. When you're busy, you kind of live day to day. So it's good to have a vision. And we have a couple of visions. Since, again, we are in Midtown, the growth of the city is very important to us because we want to ride the tidal wave, with it. So part of that, for example, our vision, our growth is tied to what goes on in Midtown. So, for example, right now they're working on the M1 rail system. What does that mean for us? Well, one of the stops would be here on the corner of Woodward and Canfield. So that would allow us to gain more exposure to people that visit the city. We get visitors now. You know, we've had
Really?
people from Turkey,
Really?
Germany, Africa, who are here for business or for pleasure, for an event. A lot of activity happens downtown. Our vision is to have them visit us. Because right now, a lot of the tourism is being directed to the mall, in particular Somerset Mall, and it's a fantastic mall. However, we would like people to visit Somerset, but also make sure that they know that we exist.
Exactly.
So the M1 rail is going to help in that sense, that they can get on it, go from downtown, make a stop here, and visit the businesses in the area. So with that said, we see some changes within the store as well in terms of our offering. If we find that people want a little bit more, take for example, the movement with green products. Because we work with natural fibers, silk, wools, cottons, that may be something that we would provide, you know, in the future, because people that come from other countries sometimes like a more natural fiber. The textures, you know, their taste is a little bit different. So we may make those type of adjustments on a natural green direction, you know, for the business. We may do it anyway, but I think that would probably increase with traffic from other countries.
I think you're doing a marvelous job. Your mother is seamstress, and she can make just about anything. So if I walk in here next week and I want something that nobody else has, your mother would make that for me, right?
Yes, she can do that, and it has to be within reason.
We
do get asked to make things that are a little bit out the box. But for the most part, but yeah, she can make it, and if not, we are in the process of, in terms of vision, making sure that we have some other seamstresses to help us in creating and sewing up some of the garments, and working with other designers in the area. One of the things I hadn't talked about is that we focus a lot in our store right now on fabrication. We partnered with a local knit designer. Her name is Lynette. Matter of fact, you may see her down at Eastern Market. So I've had some of her pieces in the store, and she'll be bringing some more this summer. And I'll be working with a couple of other ladies as well, making sure that if you do want something unique, we can make it from a knit perspective, from a eco-friendly perspective, you know, natural fiber, and other types of fibers, wool, silks, things of that nature. But we like to put things in perspective, and we don't go too on guard.
Too out of the box. I'll remember that. I just think it's such a unique setup you have. You have your mom that if something doesn't quite fit right, she can tuck it in.
Oh, yes.
Or she can make it from scratch. And anything that you want done, just within reason, you said. Nothing out of the box. That you can have it made.
Yeah, and I don't want to scare people when I say out of the box, because most people do say they want something different. I will drop this little nugget of information. Most people are not that different. Most people think that they're different, but they don't realize that there are a lot of other women who think the same way. So the mission is to, if you really want to be different, the mission is to go outside the box a little bit. But it's sometimes in the color, it's in the print, it's in the fabrication. But most people want a classic dress, fitted, maybe a fit and flare. They want a nice little sleeve. If it's sleeveless, they want a jacket. They want the hemline to be right below the knee. There's certain things that most women want. Even when they say they want something different, those standard things are in place. So what's different is usually the fabric. And then by us being in an art type of community, there is a group of women who want different. So they'll do a denim outfit with a bunch of pockets all over it. Or they'll do, let's say, a baggy two-piece suit that's hand-painted.
Really?
So that's when you get into the art of clothing. But in essence, most women are fairly the same.
Pretty much the same. And I think it would also have to do with age.
Age and environment, your peers, you know. Will they laugh at you with what you have on, or are you just going to blend in with what everybody's wearing?
But I do like something different.
Yeah.
Not too much out of the box. Elegant.
Yes.
And just something that I would say no one else is going to see this dress on anybody else.
Then we would have to make it.
Okay.
Yeah, because most boutiques, and I guess, I don't know, unless you are a serious shopper that shop to a lot of places, most boutiques pretty much shop the same way.
Okay.
Depending on the age group, but most boutique owners pretty much shop kind of similar. One may get one color, someone else might get a different color. Like, you know, there's about 2 or 3 boutiques between Southfield, Oak Park, and Detroit, where we kind of shop very similar. And our customers will bounce around. I may have it in one color, or you know, the designer, I might have picked up 2 styles, another boutique pick up a different style. And we try to, at least I do, try to communicate with other boutique owners just to kind of see what they're doing. You know, kind of see what they're doing so that we won't overlap too much, so we can have our uniqueness.
I see.
Yeah, but what makes us very unique here is the fact that we do make clothing.
Yes.
And we focus on fit, because one of the things that I hadn't brought up is that over the years, from a psychological standpoint, we realize that women shop based on the mood that they're in and where they're going, you know, just kind of how they're feeling. But overall, as we get older now, our bodies change.
Really?
So, so the question is, as my body is changing, what am I going to wear? Or as I'm getting older, what am I going to wear? You know, we're in a time in history where we're looking fabulous as we get older. So do we dress based on our age, or do we dress based on what we see on television and how we see ourselves through television, or do we dress like our daughters? So these are all conversations that we have when we're in the store. And although I don't, I try to have those conversations without injecting too much of an opinion, but if I ask enough questions, people will kind of answer. Yeah, people kind of answer for themselves.
Well, I'm going to change my dress style when I get those arms like Michelle Obama. Then I'm going to wear I'm going to wear a little bit more sleeveless, because there's some really, really nice dresses and pieces that are sleeveless. But
most dresses are sleeveless, and what some people don't realize is that when the economy changes, so does style.
Yes.
You may not pay much attention to it, but if there's going to be a recession, that affects all industries. Therefore, designers are not going to invest as much money into fabric. So the dresses are going to be shorter, and the sleeves are going to disappear.
Wow, I never thought about that.
So then you find a lot of women walking around looking kind of, you know, sometimes.
So the designer or manufacturer think about
it's cost.
Cutting.
You have to cut costs.
Cutting costs.
Yeah,
so
and
you cut the sleeves and hem the dress.
Right,
Okay.
and then as the economy becomes more healthy, you have more fabrics.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like for our audience to see some of the pieces you have. And Missy, I would like to know how do you select your different outfits? And I know that we have to have the classical black dress.
Yes.
So if I had my grandmother with me, my daughter with me, my granddaughter with me, how would you service them?
Good question. What I try to do, especially when you look at this piece, is that I try to find pieces that whether you're, let's say, 18 years old and you just graduate and you need a graduation dress, or whether this is your 70th birthday and you want to wear something classic and cute, that dress could fit across the age groups. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but there are some pieces that can make that happen, such as this one. Now, for an 18-year-old, she may want, let's say, blue. Now, the great part about it is that although this is a manufactured piece, it's a knit, a nice medium weight knit, very classic. This is something that we actually could make.
Okay.
So if an 18-year-old is graduating, we can say, hey, let's make a floral version of this, or something in a fun color.
Take the sleeves.
Yeah, and you have those options because we understand the cut, so we can make it sleeveless, we can make the sleeves longer, somebody may want a French cuff, a flare cuff. Most of my customers, however, between a 35 and 60-year range, would say, hey, I like that dress, but I need it lengthened a little bit more. So yeah, so if it doesn't fit one particular group, that's okay. We'll make it.
We'll make it. I think that is so unique. You know, if I see something in here and I need to just have it adjusted just a little bit, you know, your mom can just, I don't want to say hook me up, but that's what they say, don't they? Okay.
One of the things that we're doing this spring, summer, I listen to my customers.
Okay.
It's been a hit or miss over the years because sometimes people are looking for things that are just not in the marketplace. And that's where we come in terms of making certain products. Some people are looking for 1950s dresses.
Wow.
Well, you're just not going to find that in a mall. You're not going to find it in a department store all the time. So you have to go to those specialty stores for that. So we can make those type of dresses.
Wow.
There are some brands that will do classic 1950s dresses, but then we begin to talk about fit. If you are a size 2X, 3X, and you want that 1950s look, you're definitely not going to find it.
Not going to find it.
So that's where we get into making clothes. Okay, so the summer, we're getting more into fit and flare. Okay, so that's the language you're going to hear us talk about all the time.
Flare.
Fit and flare. Everybody wants it to fit here and
flare
flare out.
out.
Yeah. So this is a fun piece. Now, if you're not into colors, then we have this color palette. Okay, so if you are used to wearing black and darker colors, you may want to transition to this versus this.
I mean, it still fits in the summer scene.
It's the same body, but you may be going to Aruba or some type of tropical island, and you want to bring some color into your wardrobe.
I like that example, going to Aruba. I like that. The colors, the summer colors.
Yes, this is a company. This is a company here that I usually get my winter coats from.
Okay.
They are a company that works with wool, boil wool. That's what they do. But in the spring, summer, they get into cottons and linens. A lot of women have this styling of cardigan. So it's not uncommon, but the colors is what attracted us to this product. And they came out with these color palettes. You can also decide to just do the top or to put the top underneath here. And if you wanted to mix a color together, if you're bold and you wanted to do orange with a purple and then tie it in with some jewelry with a combination of those colors, you can do that as well.
And I wanted to show our audience the dress your mom made. I love this dress. I love it. And it's probably not even me, but I just love it.
I call it, you know, it's funny, I jokingly call it a spaceship dress because it reminds me of saucers. But it is an African print. I've had a customer and a family friend go to Africa, and they came back with some fabrics, and we wanted to bring we wanted to mix European and African flavors together to create the look. Sometimes here in America, we don't necessarily do a traditional African garb unless we're having an occasion that we'll do that. But we'll do the print and still keep it with a European flair. So it looks like a one-piece dress, but it's actually a peplum with a skirt. Most customers are going to want a longer length, and that's okay.
Yes.
So we would remake this. It can be in solid. We can color block it like we did here, and then make a longer skirt. And if you want the skirt all the way to your ankle, that's fine too.
That's great. Well, you just have just about anything that any age group would want.
Yeah.
And I'm just excited about the Black Dress Company.
Thank you.
And all the things that you're going to be doing in the future.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And she also has jewelry. There's a lady that makes jewelry, and it's very, very nice. So just about anything that you want is down at the Black Dress Company.
Yeah.
It's just so good to meet
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And let our audience know how they can get in touch with you. I know you gave me a map if they need a guide.
Yeah, we do keep maps of the Midtown area.
Okay.
Restaurants, museums, art institutions. But for the most part, you can pick up your map here. We're located at 87 East Canfield. That is between John R. and Woodward. Most people will be familiar with this area if they go to the VA hospital or DMC. But we are kind of the street between those two. So good points of reference would be the hospitals and also the Whitney restaurant as well. Yeah, come to the Black Dress Company.
And you're on Instagram?
I'm on all social media platforms. I do most of my activity on Facebook right now.
Okay.
I will be migrating over to Instagram pretty soon to show more images.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
For the time you've given this today. And I will be back again.
I hope so. Thank you. Yeah, so we can keep you looking fabulous.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.